Hi everybody, I'm going to show you a little bit today about how I have learned to do some hammer welding. And I've got my 52 Chevy Fastback that I've been working on Frenching the headlights, and I've already run a few beads here. I plan to show you a little bit of how to run the bead and how to smush it back flat after you've built up a little bit of weld bead. And as the metal cools off after welding, it tries to draw in and shrink a little bit, and the object of hammer welding is to re-stretch that metal while it's still hot and get it back out to the proper contour. Got a basic body hammer with a very low crown to the face of the hammer, and a very high crown dolly that I'll be using underneath the fender here, and I'll be as you see me hammering on it, you'll see I'm hitting it pretty hard and trying to smush that weld flat really good. So anyway, we'll switch over to the welding view and we'll go from there. Okay, as we get ready to weld, what I'll be doing is I'll be starting about a 1/4 inch into this one bead here that I've already run, and I'll be running in about a 1/4 inch into the following bead. There's about 1 1/4 inches between these beads. I'm going to make this run as a full pass all the way across. I know that goes against what a lot of people tell you to do as far as welding up gaps like this, but since I'll be using the oxyacetylene gas welding setup, it gives you a much more malleable weld, and you can work that weld quite a bit. And since in and of itself the gas welding is a little bit of a slower process, but you get to run a longer bead in the process, so the overall time it takes to actually weld your panel in is about the same as using TIG, or maybe a little bit slower than MIG, but personally I like the results a lot better. So we'll put our welding goggles on and get to work. Okay, as I described, I'm going to be starting my bead about 1/4 inch into the previous bead, and I'm going to travel towards my filler rod here. And as I get my puddle started, there it comes. Start working this bead across here. Make sure everything gets all fused together. I'm fusing the original fender with the panel I'm welding in and the filler rod all together, so that it all kind of melts together as one solid piece of metal. And there we go. And tie that into the last bead. And I'm going to keep this bead very hot for just a few seconds here. Try to keep the whole bead almost red hot. My flame's a little lower than I should have made it right there, but that's okay. And then I'll start hammering. And that's it. You can see I was hitting it pretty hard to get that weld smushed flat. And I'm also hammering directly on the dolly. You can hear it ring when you're hitting right on the dolly there, and you hit right on the crown there. And here I'm going to give you a little bit of a tour of the bead itself. The part that I just welded, if I can show it to you, is kind of between my fingers here. And you can see, yeah, it's still very hot there. But that's pretty much what we got going on there. And you can see it looks pretty decent. It's trying to pull down just a little bit, but we can work on that with hammer and dolly. And that's hammer welding. Well, that's pretty much it. As you can see, we got a really good flat bead from the weld after hammer welding on it. As I mentioned, hammering on dolly, it basically means I'm hitting the crown of the hammer right against the crown of the dolly with the fender in between, and so that's where that ring that you're hearing. A lot of times when you're knocking out a dent or something like that in a car, you'll do a lot of off dolly hammering, but in this case you're basically trying to just smush that weld flat while you're hammer welding there. That's about it for today, and thank you for watching.